Our afternoon continues at the Clio Spotlight stage with our next speaker, Natalie Berezovsky.
Good afternoon. Well, before I begin, I wanted to let you know, I know you have some choices for this 3 o'clock hour. Just today, I found out that this AI talk happens the same time as our Chief Product Officers talk about AI. There's also a legal trends report, as done by our famous lawyer in residence, Joshua, happening right now. So thank you for being here today, and I assure you're in the right room. We are going to have the coolest AI talk, and I will even throw some legal trend report facts at you as well, so no FOMO in this room. All right, so at today's session, we're going to try to accomplish a couple of things. We're going to learn a little bit about how AI really works and AI agents. And then based on this newly acquired knowledge, we're going to try to see how you can apply it to use the AI tools inside Clio more effectively and efficiently for you. Before we begin, let me say thank you to our sponsors. Here's our sponsors, and please visit them at their booths in the expo hall. Let me also introduce myself. My name is Natalie Berezovsky. I'm a director of engineering leading the AI and machine learning team here at Clio. My team's main job is to bring our AI vision to life through our products. I've been with Clio for 2 years, and this is my second ClioCon, and they just keep getting better. So, AI is not magic or some kind of higher level intelligence. Don't get me wrong, AI is smart. But at its core, AI is a tool that you can use to make your work more effective and meaningful. And just like with any tools, there are best practices that you can apply when using these tools to boost your productivity even more. And today, we're going to learn just that, how you can apply some of these best practices to get most out of your usage of these AI tools and really harness the power of AI to take your work to the next level. But before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about how AI really works. Because I'm from engineering, the next few slides, we're going to really nerd out to learn about AI and AI agents. Spoiler alert, there will be a lot of math involved, so I hope you're ready. OK, you may be a little worried about me mentioning math, so don't worry. We'll try to look at pictures for the most part. So at its core, AI is an intelligent system that can reason through complex tasks. And we actually recently given the system a name. We call them AI agents. But in the end, it's an algorithm. But instead of a programmer deciding the steps of the algorithm and executing it in the manner that they've kind of coded it to be, it's the agent using large language models and understanding of different skills it has and things that it can do by using LLM to understand what this thing can do and how to interpret the results that decides how it's going to apply these skills to executing a certain task. So agents essentially have a toolbox of tools under their disposal, right? They understand the description of these tools, and they know how to interpret the results of these tools. And as they call and execute different tools, they decide on the fly, what do I do next? Some of these tools can be simple. It could be a database query or looking something up online. And some of them can be more complex, like calling a machine learning model. But for that, an agent needs to be able to apply different tools to gather all the necessary input to feed into a machine learning model, and then interpret the result that the machine learning comes back and call the next tools in order to answer a question that was posed to the AI agent. So the ability of this AI agent to really make decisions on the fly, similar to what a human would do, and using different tools or skills that it knows how to do, again, similar to a human, we execute the things that we know how to do, is what makes AI agents a lot more powerful than your traditional sequential automation. So let's take a deeper look under the hood of this mysterious AI. So under the AI umbrella, we have what's called machine learning. And this is really a way to describe all models out there. Essentially, it's ability of machine to learn patterns in a data and encode them in math. If you think about it, oldest and simplest machine learning model out there is linear regression, represented by this formula that all of you have seen probably in elementary school. Of course, the more input variables you have, the more complex it gets. Sometimes these models get nonlinear. But a good example where you come across this mathematical model in real life is any application of market value prediction of your house that you can see on websites like Redfin or Zillow. It starts with lots of different variables like square footage of the house, number of rooms, bathrooms, bedroom, and all of that is fed into a model. And in the end, you get a market value of your house. If we dive deeper into complexity of these models, that's where deep learning comes in. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. And this is a more complex kind of model, and it's based on matrices, linear algebra, matrix multiplication. Okay, don't worry, we're not going to look at matrix multiplication in this talk. So this is where formulas stop. A good example of where you can come across deep learning in real life is kind of all applications of image recognition. Like if you search for an image on your phone through words, that will probably run a deep learning model to do object recognition on images. Same goes with self-driving. Every time you turn on self-driving, it runs a series of deep learning models to identify objects in the field of vision of the car. So, and as we go further and deeper into complexity, that's where Gen AI and large language models come on the scene. Right? The big distinguishing factor between these type of models and the models with a lesser complexity is that, deep learning and machine learning, simpler machine learning model, they really start with a lot of input, and then through the model, you get a much lower dimensional output. So, you start with lots of variables about the home, you get a market value and then the single value. You start with a complex image with lots of pixels, and you get a couple of objects in the end. Gen AI works the other way around. You can start with a short question, and the ability of large language models to generate a larger, much higher dimensional answer just based on the understanding of the language for this model. So, and this is kind of where legal industry can really thrive by applying these models, right? So there is a lot of synthesis that's happening where you start with a lot of data and you need to synthesize and understand, but there's also a lot of generation, hence Gen AI, that happens. You ask a question and you want to generate, really using the power of the language, specifically even legal language, generate an output of your model. So, and again, back to an agent, its ability to have a human-like decision-making on the fly and access to all these different models across all these different complexities, and using large language models as a glue to communicate with the different tools or the skills that it has, is what make agents so powerful and applicable, especially in legal space. All right, so let's talk about how this is applicable to Clio and the new AI features that we have for you this year. And we're going to talk about our AI specialists, or teammates, as Jack named them in his talk. And in this particular presentation, we're going to discuss Grow AI Intake Specialist. We're going to talk about Manage AI Legal Assistant. We're also going to talk a little bit about Draft AI Drafting Specialist. And then we're going to touch on AI time tracking, which is a standalone tool that will be available in Manage AI. All right, so AI Intake Specialists, or teammates, it comes with Grow AI, which is an add-on to Clio Grow. It is currently in a limited release. And AI Intake Specialist is a member of your team that helps you improve how many clients you bring to your firm and the quality of the clients that you bring to your firm. It's starting in by taking in leads, prioritizing them, moving them through the funnel. According to our 2024 legal trend reports, 60% of potential clients do not get an email back from a firm when they contact them. And so AI Intake Specialist is here to solve this problem for you, for your firm. It starts with a chatbot that is able to give the right amount of attention to the client when they need it and gather the information about the potential problem that they're coming to you. Then, when the information is gathered, it is then all fed into a lead prediction model and summarized for you. So on your end, you can actually put a numerical value on the quality of the information that a client provided and make a decision, what do you do next? Do you proceed, maybe generating an intake form to gather more information? So what we have right now available with AI Intake Specialist is the chatbot and the lead prediction model. The future things that we have on the horizon is doing other tedious tasks like follow up both with a client and a firm, and generating intake form, and even drafting a final fee agreement. This also addresses another finding of our 2024 legal trend reports, that about 87% of clients expect to hear back from a firm within 24 hours. That's why it is important to make sure that the legal intake specialist moves this lead through a funnel, both from a perspective of a client and the firm. So just imagine how much time this can save you, not to have to gather this information and really make a quick decision of whether this is someone worth pursuing or not for your firm. Let's talk about different best practices or hints that you can do when using this feature for your firm. So again, this thing starts with a chatbot, and it might be tempting to ask a whole lot of questions, right? While you have your potential client talking to a chatbot. However, our research shows that the client's attention kind of drops after about 10 questions. I'm sure all of you might have experienced something like that when talking to chatbots. So it's important that you ask questions that are very pointed and could serve as a good signal for the model. So instead of simply asking, tell me what happened, because that can go anywhere. Ask more specific questions like, have you been injured? Was police report filed? Medical care provided? If so, what kind of treatments you received? So all of these things, all the answers to all these questions will have a much richer signal for the model that will be generating that score, that lead score in the end for you. The second hint is around answering questions that the clients may have. So you will have an opportunity to configure your chatbot with a comprehensive FAQ that will hopefully address some of the questions they may have around pricing, time it takes. And as you are reviewing some of these chats, you can adjust your FAQ, adding more questions to make sure that the clients are being answered well. Then the last hint is really about knowing what are the objective criteria that automatically disqualifies a client. So you and them don't waste their time. So there's probably certain things like location, where they're coming from and where you can and cannot practice. Practice area that you are an expert in, and they may be coming with a question outside your practice area. So identifying some of these objective criteria and asking questions that could automatically disqualify them is also important for the chatbot to really send the right signal into the lead prediction model. So these are the hints for our intake specialist, and I think this can really save you a lot of time, see the information up front, and being able to convert it into kind of a qualitative value of how good this intake was, and really lead to better and better results for your intake and higher quality clients in the end. All right, so let's say you do have a high quality client and you move them to be a potential client, and you move them to be your client, and you move their data into Clio Manage. And this is where our AI legal assistant is here to help. It is available for everyone to use with Manage AI. Those of you who are current Duo users, today or yesterday, last night, your Clio Duo converted into Clio Manage with this new functionality already available to you. So let's do a little bit of a participation. Raise your hand if you have to deal with calendaring or admin work on a daily basis. All right, there you go. Our research shows that 87% of you routinely deal with calendaring and admin work, which I guess was about the same in the audience here. And half of you find it painful. And I admire the other half of you. We've seen that on average, you spend about 1.2 hours a day having to deal with kind of work. And it is generally not billable. So really, we want to be able to reduce that burden as much as possible. So this is kind of where our legal assistant can come to help. There's two features that we have available right now with the legal assistant. It is the extracting calendar invites from scheduling orders or court orders. So if you have a document that's filled with different court dates, and in the past you would have to look at it and actually create calendar invites on your calendar, now you can just take that document and feed it into the legal assistant, and it will be able to extract all the dates and events and create draft calendar invites. You can review them, you can edit them. It will even calculate some of the relative dates. So if you have a date that says, 180 days from previous court visit, it will be able to calculate it for you as well. It also does communication at this time. The goal is for a legal assistant to be able to help you with planning, prioritization, and matter management. So there's more to come with that legal assistant, and that will be living as part of Manage AI. So, this feature really helps you significantly reduce admin burden of creating these invites, and also the emotional toll of making sure that you are actually entering them correctly. It's much easier to validate than enter from scratch, really reducing the amount of human error that could potentially arise from this. All right, let's talk about different hints or best practices around using a legal assistant scheduling tool. So the reality is that it is an extraction tool, and the truth is that the quality of your extraction will only always depend on the quality of your document, right? So wherever possible, do try to start with a higher quality document. So if you have an option to download a PDF from a website or you have it emailed to you, start with that. If you are working with a printed or paper copy, try to use some of the scanning tools that are available in a lot of devices these days. In the Clio app, we also have a scanning tool that will capture a much higher quality image. Probably the last thing you want to upload is a picture of a document with lots of handwriting in a poor lighting. This will just not lead to really good results in the end. So do try to go for highest quality document as much as possible. The other important thing is that, as I mentioned, this tool is able to extract relative dates. However, it is not yet fully aware of different jurisdictions and different rules within how these dates are calculated yet. So please do double check them. So, some jurisdictions, they count the weekends, and others they don't. We are, though, working on including things like calendar rules and have this tool to be more jurisdiction and the rules aware in the near future. But at the time being, please be mindful and double check these dates. The next hint is really around kind of the future of a legal assistant. Again, one of the things I said it will be able to do in the future is help you prioritize things, help you plan, and kind of be able to elevate some of these things for you to work on as opposed to you remembering to have to do that. And one thing to really help it do a better job at this is to attach everything that you create within Manage to a matter. So there's all these different things that you create within Manage, calendar entries, activities, expenses, tasks, and there's this non-required or optional field that's associated with these things called matter. Sometimes it's left empty. Try to get in a habit of actually always connecting these things to a matter, because in the end, when the legal assistant will be looking at your matter holistically, the more things it knows is connected to it, the more likely it will prioritize and surface the right things for you to work on. So here are the tips for our legal assistant. All right, now let's talk about AI time tracking, which will be a standalone tool, not part of any add-on, but available inside Manage. It is currently being tested in a limited release as well. So another question. Raise your hand if you communicate over email with your clients. All right, quite a few of you. Keep your hand up if you find it painful to track and bill for that time. All right, that kind of works out. So based on our Legal Trend Report 2024, 87% of you communicate over email with your clients as a primary way of communicating, and you do consider this time billable that you spend reading and writing the emails. And half of you find it painful to track that time back in Manage. So with time tracking, you will be able to authenticate your email provider to our time tracking tool. And it will seamlessly track the time you spend reading and replying the email. At the core of the solution is the matter matching algorithm, right? So whenever you interact with the email, we on the back end try to figure out, okay, which matter does this email belong to? And then make sure we create a draft entry for that particular matter. So as a result, AI time tracking tool will generate draft entries for you, and you can open it up, see the description, modify it, change it if you need to, and then release it if you agree with it to be the actual billable activity for you. So I think it could save you a whole lot of time not to have to switch between kind of your email provider and then manage and be able to kind of go back and forth, try to account for this time. It can be huge time savings. All right, let's talk about best practices or hints for AI time tracker. Again, as I said, the core of the solution here is to really do the matter matching properly with your email. So if possible, try to incorporate the right information about the matter in your email as much as you can. Obviously, if your client email is saved with the matter, that's a pretty easy tell that you're interacting with the right email. But if you are emailing a third party whose email may not associate with the matter, maybe put a matter number somewhere in title, body of the email in the end, or name of the client. But the more references you make to the things that exist in your matter in the email, the more likely the solution will predict, will do the right mapping between the matter and the email. The second hint is around proactively managing your spam emails or emails that are even not relevant to any of the matters that you're working on. At every time you interact with the email, our AI time tracker will try to map it to a matter, right? So if you're interacting with spam, it hopefully will recognize that it's a spam. It's not matching to anything, or it may, no AI is 100% correct. It may map it to something that's not the right matter. So they're proactively managing your spam, maybe creating a spam folder so it doesn't even land in your inbox, or just not interacting it, during the time where you're tracking. It could be a good thing to do. And the last hint is really about helping your model learn. So as you are looking at some of these draft entries that the time tracker generates, interact with them, open them up, change them, modify them, save them, make them what they should be, right? As opposed to just kind of deleting it and starting over. As you interact with it and change it, it tells the model, oh, this was not quite right. This is right, right? So it allows the model to learn and do better over time. All right. So lastly, let's talk about AI drafting specialists that will come with Draft AI. It is also in limited release right now. We're still testing it with a few customers. All right, last one. Raise your hand if you do drafting daily. All right, we got about 40, like about half of you. But our research shows that about 85% of you do drafting daily. And you spend about 5+ hours a week on the task of drafting. And while each document is unique, there are probably a lot of similarities between them, especially if you're working on similar cases, like the format, different clauses you use, the style of the firm, and stuff like that. And our Clio Draft has been our kind of go-to tool for creating firm-specific templates, which will make kind of the document reuse easy for you across different similar cases. However, the process of creating these templates has been so far pretty manual. You have to kind of highlight the things that you want to templatize, and then you create the templates that way. Well, AI Drafting Specialist will make this process a whole lot easier for you. With the Drafting Specialist, you can take the existing document that you use for your older case, feed it into AI Drafting Specialist, and through AI and kind of the solution that we implemented, it will recognize all the non-static or changeable fields, like names, maybe names of the hospitals, institutions, and stuff like that. It'll try to capture as many of these tags as possible. There's maybe still some manual work left in the end, but it'll handle the bulk of it for you right off the bat using some of the old documents. This is something that we're already testing with our clients. The future of this leads us towards kind of like one-click document generation. Let's say you have a matter that you are about to start on that is very similar to what you've worked on in the past, and then you have generated a template from that older case. Once you fill out the information within Manage that should be landing in that document, we are currently working on a solution that allows you to kind of reconcile the tags and the custom fields that you have in Manage with the tags that you have in Draft. Once this is available, we're really talking about like a one-click solution for you to generate a document and all the information in Manage just landing in your Draft templated fields very quickly. So that's what's coming up next with the AI Drafting Specialist. Well, let's talk about best practices around AI Drafting Specialists. So one of the things that we once is preferable for the documents that you're kind of piping through the AI drafting specialist is reduced amount of ambiguity in a document. So what does that mean in practice? So if you have kind of the same name that appears across the document, you have, Mr. and Mrs. Smith or whatever, and sometimes they can be Jane and John Smith. Try to use it one way or the other way, right? Like if in a document you always say Mr. and Mrs., it should be kind of coming across the same way. If you say the first and last name, it should be coming across the same way. That way, you really position the document in a better place for AI to recognize these two people as like two different tags instead of 4 different tags if you're interchangeably using these names, right? Same thing goes with like different locations or institutions. You can have a long name for a hospital, or you can have a shorthand name. And if you're using this interchangeable, you may be generating a couple of tags. So if there are different ambiguous names or locations, do try to have a document, the original document that you pipe into AI drafting specialist, using it one way or the other, not interchangeably. And the second hint kind of leads us towards the future improvements for AI drafting specialist is, in the world of like kind of a one-click document generation, it only works if your matter information is filled out, right? If you know that you're using these custom things in your document, do create the appropriate custom fields in your matter and fill them out. That way, when you click to generate the documents, they land where they need to go. If your matter has only a few basic things filled out, then you don't have the right information to populate your document. So the more information your matter has, the more likely you generate a complete draft from a template. All right, and so these are the hints for AI drafting specialist. Lastly, before we end, I wanted to remind you that I know AI is new and everybody's excited, but all of you are also probably wondering and asking like, oh, am I getting a return on investment for AI? It is outside the scope of this talk, but there is an article that I wrote with a few other folks in Clio that kind of outlines a 5-step framework to see how you can assess the returns on investment that AI has on your firm. Please take a picture, take a look, and see if this can be kind of applicable to your firm. All right. And then lastly, I hope everybody got it. Lastly, do please visit us at the product lab. All these exciting features are, there for you to. We want to show it to you. I'll be over there. Come talk to me. I already demoed it a whole lot. There's more cool things that we can show you that I didn't have time to present in this talk. Yeah, please stop by the product lab. Thank you. That's it. Do we do Q&A or no? I don't know. No Q&A. Got it. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you do have questions, I will be in the product lab for the rest of the day.